Okay, the last part of this list is going to go very quickly, okay? 200, 400 millimeter. Yes. Awesome. No, it's not. It is a slow, fat bitch, and it is insanely expensive. If you plan on spending $6 grand on that lens, I would say you are an incredible idiot. Abso-fucking-lutely not. 200 millimeter f2 for $6,000? Fuck you. Hell no. Yes, I have used it. Yes, I have used it. $6,000? You want to know what? You want a 200 millimeter? You want a 200 millimeter? Get a 200 millimeter AI f. What is it? 3.5? Yeah. No. It's, yes. 3. I mean, yeah. I can't remember. It's a 3.5 or an f4. I think it's an f4. I've got the lens and I can't actually remember. Hold on a second. I've got my list over here. Really quick. Let me take a look. I remember it's 3.5 or f4. Let me see. Yeah, it's an f4. I was thinking it was an f5. I mean, excuse me, an f3.5, but it's an f4. You want to spend $6,000 on an f2, a 200 millimeter? Get a AI 200 millimeter f4. You're not going to be using this lens at f2. Okay, we got a difference of $6,000 versus $150. Sometimes you can find that AI lens 200 millimeter f4. It's a manual lens. Yes, I know. You find it for sometimes cheap as $80, $60, $80, $100, $150. So we get a difference of $180 versus $6,000. Okay, yeah, fuck that lens. There we go. Yeah, the 200 millimeter f4. That's the same aperture as what I just told you for $150. So instead of spending $1,800 for this lens, you can get the same thing in a manual AI lens. So fuck that. The new 300 millimeter lens is going to be recalled by Nikon. It's got 2 Fresnel elements. What happens is the Fresnel elements in combination with the vibration reduction is causing nasty pictures at certain shutter speeds between 1/60th of a second and 1/250th. They're about to recall that lens, and it sure as hell at f4 is not worth $2,000. That is Nikon's newest 300 millimeter lens. I got to handle it, I must admit and confess. Full disclosure, I have not used it, but I have handled it. It's a turd. There's no way that lens is worth $2,000. Nikon can go fuck themselves on that lens. Absolutely ridiculous. 300 millimeter f4. Why the hell would you do that? Just get a 70 to 300 zoom, okay? If you can justify that, then justify it. But there are extremely few of you that can rationalize, that can justify that. You might want to rationalize it, but you certainly can't justify it. 300 millimeter 2.8. No, if you can justify the $6,000 for that lens, then go for it. Now, in the 400 to 800 millimeter range, I have used all of these lenses except for the 800 millimeter. And I think I did use it once, but I can't remember if that was the 600 that I used. I can't remember. I know I've used the 600, but I thought I've used it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. These cost as much as a new car. If you can justify these lenses, you know exactly what you're doing. But all these lenses, fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. They're heavy as a boat anchor. They're expensive as hell. And there is less than 1 in 100,000 of you that can justify those lenses. So, on this particular list, everything is crossed off. Makes it simple, doesn't it? Last part was easy. Nothing here to recommend at all to anybody. Now, if a couple of these lenses can be justified by you, all the better. You could write it off on your taxes. You absolutely need that focal length for whatever specific proprietary use. That's fine. But I'm not making these videos for people with a high specific proprietary use. None of these lenses on the third section can be justified by basically any of you. So that makes it really simple. We've really narrowed things down a lot. And how much have we narrowed things down? Well, let's take a look at our first list. There's not much there that isn't crossed off. The only thing that isn't crossed off is 14 to 24, 18 to 35, 20mm, 2485, 2470, 28300, and a 35mm. And let's take a look at our second list. Same thing here. Not much to recommend. 35mm f2 and grab real cheap. 50mm 1.8. 55mm 2.8 can be had used really cheap. 60mm must own. 7300 VR. 80 to 200 2.8 absolutely. 105 yes and no. Be better to have a Tokina 100mm micro Nikkor. Excuse me, a Tokina 100mm 2.8 macro lens. Far cheaper, superior construction, better built, sharper image, better color saturation, better contrast than the 105. Do not really recommend that lens at all. 135, got it, love it. Too expensive for most of you. Even if you can't afford it, I seriously doubt you could justify it, and definitely a used 180. So, ultimately, as we showed you on the third sheet, everything was crossed off, and on our first two sheets of our 69 FX lenses, there's not much that isn't crossed off. So we have narrowed the gap down a lot. A lot. I mean, a lot. We've basically only got, how many lens recommendations do I have here? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 lenses out of 69 possibilities. So you basically got 18 to choose from out of 69. So a very small spectrum of lenses would I even dare recommend, used or new, out of the 69 FX current Nikkor line. 18 or 19 out of 69. And out of those 18 or 19, half of those are half recommendations, so really only 8 or 9 lenses. So I'm trying to save you money. If you like the video, fine. If you don't like it, fine. Whatever. You know, you can never please anybody. So, thanks for watching. And yes, this was not a high production value video, but it is meant to be informational. Okay, if you want sweeping landscapes on 4000K, then tune to another YouTube channel. This is meant to be helpful. It's meant to be educational. It's meant to be informative. It is meant to save you a few bucks. And I'm trying to use a spectrum of experience in owning these lenses so I can narrow down the crap so you don't waste your money. That was my only intent and purpose in making these videos. So like it, hate it, whatever. I was trying to be helpful. That's all that matters, right?